The Atheist Debates Patreon project presents Surprise! Surprise! Are you surprised that I said it twice? Maybe not. Maybe that one's a little too on the nose. I hope you're all doing well. Surprises are often wonderful. It's the reason that comedy works and why magic tricks impress us. The punchline of a joke has a punch because it's a surprise, even if the surprise is that you went with the most predictable dad joke punchline because we were expecting better. This is about subverting your expectations or not meeting them or surprising you in some way. With magic trick, surprise appearances or vanishes or transpositions all rely on taking our expectations and confounding them. Surprises, it's true, are often really wonderful when the aim is to entertain and amuse. Surprises can also be absolutely terrifying and damaging. While some people like jump scares in their horror films, others don't. But we're also surprised on a daily basis. If you have a lot of expertise driving, you're going to be surprised less frequently by what other people do. In the past, I've even argued that if we do any mind reading at all, in reading body language, you don't even have to see somebody's body to know that guy's going to cut me off. That person is getting ready to change lanes without signaling. You're reading the extended body language of the car, and the more experience you have, the less likely you are to be surprised. I can predict quite often what a driver's going to do, even though I can't see them and can only see their vehicle. I can often spot who is or isn't paying attention, who's likely to be on their cell phone, because I have a lot of experience doing it. Once you've seen something many times, it helps your brain reach more accurate models of reality so that you're surprised less often. I can essentially put little figurative red flags on the vehicles around me, and I can be like, I don't want to be behind this person. And sometimes it's incredibly obvious. Somebody's driving erratically, and you're like, I'm absolutely going to get way away from you. But at any time, someone might surprise me on the road, and it could result in an accident. And it might not have much to do with my expectations at all. I could be startled by a loud noise, or they could be startled by a loud noise. It could be something fall from the sky that we're not expecting. It could be somebody from a cross street that you can't see comes barreling out through a red light. There's no way that you could realistically expect yourself to be able to make the sort of predictions to avoid surprises like that in every circumstance. Being surprised really just means that whatever your expectations about reality were, they were not correct. That doesn't mean that you're stupid or foolish. It means you're human. We are all going to have flawed expectations. Each one of us has some internal model of reality and some internal heuristics that allow us to make predictions. And our brains are incredibly good at making predictions. It's a key part of what makes our brains just so wonderful and impressive. We collect data from the world around us, and we use that data to draw inferential predictions. We're very, very, very good at this. If someone throws a ball at you and you catch it, your brain is constantly making and adjusting its prediction of where that ball is going to be and when, and at what time you need to get a hand to that location or to dodge away from that location. And then it sends the instructions to your hand to move to that location, and it's constantly updating when you have your eyes on the ball. This is why when you have kids going out to play baseball for the first time, it's just keep your eye on the ball. Watch the ball go all the way into your glove. Watch it go all the way into your glove. We drill this into kids' heads because that is the most accurate way for your brain to make those predictions, is to watch it. But once you build up a lot of knowledge and understanding about how that works, I'm sure we've all seen incredible highlight reels where I saw one where a gentleman was giving an interview to a reporter, and somewhere in the background on the ball field, somebody hit a ball and it was coming directly for them. And almost instantaneously, without looking, he just kind of went and, just catches it with his bare hands. That is a lot of experience that has trained his brain's prediction-making machine to be more accurate. You can even get to the point where you can do it blindfolded. I could I can juggle a little bit blindfolded, and it's not so much muscle memory that people like to often claim it is, as you have loads of experience. The muscles themselves don't have a memory, but your brain has the ability to model your body, its surroundings, and what you're doing. And so throwing and catching a ball in a small sense there with your eyes closed is not that big of a deal. We're good enough at it that we can do amazing things. But here's some food for thought on surprises. Whenever you feel surprised in the future, file that away. It may not be worth it in the moment to sit there and try and do an analysis of your surprise. But when you have that opportunity, when you're sitting down later and you say, wow, that really surprised me, ask yourself a few questions. First of all, what did you expect to happen and why did you have that expectation? Sometimes you may not have expected anything, and that may be the correct position. If I'm sitting in my living room and a satellite crashes through my roof and takes out the wall, or a car comes through the wall and runs into the living room, there's no reason that I should have expected that. I was expecting to continue watching TV or continue, living my life without being accosted by satellites and TVs. So it may be that your expectations are actually correct and justified, that truly some things just aren't predictable. But if you found that you had an expectation and it was wrong, was the error in your expectation intentionally subverted by someone else? Were they trying to fool you? Were they or surprise you? Was it a magic trick, a comedy thing? Did somebody throw a surprise party for you? And then the next question is there something that you should change in order to avoid being surprised like this in the future? Now, obviously, if somebody did a magic trick, told a joke, arranged a surprise party, or presented an optical illusion or something like that, you may not want to change anything about your expectations, and it may be a bad idea to do so because, well, I was surprised when Trump won. I was surprised when a friend turned out to be transphobic, but that's because I didn't know the voters or that person as well as I thought I had. And there's a good lesson to learn from that about, hey, my expectations and my predictions about what were going to happen were wrong because I didn't have enough information. I was not surprised to learn that I'd had an unidentified heart attack in the past. And I wasn't surprised to learn that I needed open heart surgery. These are realistic expectations. When I'm starting to feel something wrong, it was, hey, I'm wondering if that was a heart attack. I'm wondering if I'm going to need surgery. And when what I'm considering is in the realm of predictable or foreseeable events, then I'm not as surprised when the doctor tells me one of the possible outcomes. If the doctor would have said, hey, we need to put you on a rocket to Mars in order to save your life, that would be truly surprising, and I wouldn't have had any information at all that would have led me to that prediction. I was surprised by a recent change in my vision. What was wrong with my expectations? Well, nothing serious. I knew that vision problems were a possibility. I have diabetes, and diabetic retinopathy is when you could view it as if pixels on your monitor are going out, but essentially there are little blood areas in the retina, and you stop having vision in those, and it just gets gradually darker and darker and less precise. But that's not the vision problem that I'm having. Mine is also related to diabetes, but diabetic neuropathy, which means the nerves that control the muscles for my left eye have either died or are debilitated in some way. And there was also the possibility that I'd had a brain aneurysm. So we went for an MRI. Fortunately, I don't have an aneurysm. And so I'm going to be seeing a specialist. And this could correct itself in 3 to 6 months by wearing an eye patch and or corrective prismatic lenses. Now, I can take the eye patch off. I can still see out of both eyes. As a matter of fact, right now, because this eye's been closed, it's a little sensitive to the light, and it sees just as well as it always has. But I have slight double vision, and so I have to turn my head to the side. Anyway, this is not a video about my eyes or my eye issues. What was wrong with my expectations was nothing serious. It's just that here's one aspect that I hadn't actually considered. When I modeled what could be going wrong and what my potential problems were, I didn't include that. And that's not unrealistic because I'm not a doctor. And even plenty of doctors don't specialize in an area where they have that information. We live our lives every day based on the notion that today is pretty much the same as yesterday. I wasn't expecting to have double vision, just like I wasn't expecting the Spanish Inquisition, a joke that by now I'm sure some of you expected and or made yourself. You shouldn't live every day of your life walking into rooms expecting people to yell, surprise. That would be very terrifying, and you would find yourself disappointed and wrong more often than not. Matter of fact, if you're expecting somebody to yell surprise every time you walk in a room, then your expectations are just as wrong as if you're not expecting it, only they're more wrong because that's less likely to happen on a daily basis. But if you're surprised about other things, first of all, enjoy that feeling. That's why I started off by pointing out that surprise is what makes a joke work. It's what makes magic tricks work. It is what makes films and stories work, especially when there's something in there. Worst thing most people can say about a movie is that it was predictable. Everything about this was predictable. I watched a lot of shows and I'm very disappointed at how predictable they are. Relish the good feelings of surprise when it's pleasant. And whether it's a pleasant surprise or not, use it to recognize that you learned something, that you got a new piece of information that can impact your expectations in the future, so that you'll be less frequently surprised in ways that are unpleasant. If you have reasonable expectations about the world, surprises still will occur, but they just tweak your understanding. They're just opportunities to learn more and know something and have a more accurate model of the universe. Some pleasant surprises, by the way, may not be desirable. I was recently pleasantly surprised to find that I was owed a few $100s. And even though the surprise ultimately benefited me, I found out I got the money, cool. I probably would have benefited more from having known about what I was owed before. There are a number of other examples where the surprise is pleasant, but if you had known about it before, you would have missed that pleasant surprise, but you would have had the pleasant part, unsurprisingly, considerably earlier. If you find that you're regularly surprised in significant ways, that may mean that you've got some fundamentally flawed expectations in that particular category. From that point, you've got a couple of options. Either you change your expectations based on the new information, or you resign yourself to being continually surprised in that category. I don't know how that works. I don't know who can do that. But for most trivial and amusing things, it's probably okay to keep being surprised. But in serious matters, on topics that impact your well-being, it might be worth learning how to tweak your expectations and curb the likelihood that you're going to be unpleasantly surprised. Take care. We'll see you later.